Hey everyone, Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs here, inviting you to join a very special podcast, 30 Minutes Live with CDP. It's every Wednesday and Friday night on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Live with CDP podcast on this Thursday, November 4th, 2021. I'm looking forward to my podcast tonight with Evan McGrath, former Kitchener Ranger and 2003 OHL champion and Memorial Cup champion with the Kitchener Rangers. And he was also drafted by the Detroit Red Wings organization in 2004. He had a 13-year career in pro hockey, playing in the EIHL and over in Europe. And I'm going to talk to Evan about his hockey career, going from the Oakville Blades to the Kitchener Rangers, and then being drafted by the Red Wings, and then going to Grand Rapids, and then playing some hockey with the Syracuse Crunch before heading over to Europe. So just give me 1 second, guys, and I'm going to bring on Evan McGrath, the former Kitchener Ranger. Hi, Evan. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going tonight?
Good. How was your day today?
Really good, buddy. Really good. Just trying to keep as busy as possible all the time here, and it's going well.
Yes, I know what you're saying. With my current job, I work midnights and then doing this podcast, and then I also do some volunteer work with Rogers TV as a camera operator for the Guelph Storm home games. So there's sometimes I'm not home very often.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. That's a busy schedule.
Yes, but I love doing the podcast and love doing the camera work for Rogers TV. People don't realize how much work there is in broadcast, even for an OHL game.
Oh, it really is. I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people within Rogers, within some of the programs that we're dealing with, a lot of games we did even in Europe, and just to put things together for a game, people have no idea the things behind the scenes.
But they're a good bunch of people to work with, and like I said, I'm just so glad, Evan. I can't speak for you, but I know you probably feel the same way as me. So glad to have the Ontario Hockey League back.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I've been lucky enough since I stopped playing a couple years ago that I've been able to work with a lot of great players in the OHL right now, and seeing them, I guess, get to experience a dream almost of theirs right now that they've been missing for these last year and a half, 2 years. It's special, and to see them all develop, and just to get to go watch games again, it's been really good.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Evan, because you played for Kitchener for 4 years back in the early 2000s, from 02 to 06. Do you find the speed of the game has gotten faster since you've been in the OHL?
I do, Chris. Like, you know what? Every year the game's getting better. It's getting stronger. It's getting faster. I'm like I said, lucky enough to train a lot of these OHL and pro players now, and it's a pleasure just to watch them sometimes. It's the skill level is incredible. The speed is incredible. Again, the game has changed, right? The equipment's changed. The way of training has changed. But like I said, just to watch these guys with their talent, it's pretty special.
I was gonna say, in doing camera work, I really have to be on the ball just to keep up with the puck and that. So that's why I wanted to ask you about the speed, because some guys at the Storm games the other night were saying how fast these kids are compared to even 5-10 years ago.
No, you're exactly right. And there's a few kids actually on the Storm I've been lucky enough to train. Chase Coughlin, Cam Allen. These guys came really quite often. Bowman, these guys came probably 2-3 times a week to me throughout the last year and a half. So, like you said, the speed, the skill of these guys, I don't know how you do keep up with them.
And I was gonna say, the Kitchener Rangers did get off to a good start, but I think they've had a couple injuries and they've kind of cooled off a little bit recently.
Yeah, you know what? That's natural, right?
Hmm.
Every team has their ups and downs, and um, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of great relationships with Kitchener, even George Burnett in Guelph too. So to see them get to have those games recently too, so many, it was pretty cool. But yeah, you know what? Teams go through their ups and downs. I'm sure Kitchener will find their way. They have good leadership there, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah. And I have to admit too, I know Guelph struggled at start the season with their two young goalies, but to be fair, Jacob Oyster is only 16, and Owen Bennett is really still a rookie because his first year was 2 years ago, and Nico Dawes was in net a lot. So I think they're starting to play much better, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good season. And unfortunately, like I said, I think London's going to be the class of the Western Conference as of now.
Yeah, they've got a great squad over there.
Mhm.
Again, a great leadership over there. But yeah, they have some great players. Again, a couple clients, Connor Federkow, I train there, Luke Evangelista. Really talented group. So it's really early on in the year. It's tough to tell.
Yep.
There's still 50 something odd games here. So let it play out, and hopefully we in a few months again and see where it really went.
Definitely. Okay, I'm just going to get to some questions, Evan. The first one, can you tell my audience just a little bit about yourself, and when did you decide you wanted to pursue a career in hockey?
Well, I think pretty much I don't even remember since I wanted to be a hockey player. It was that young. I wanted to be like my older brothers, and they were playing hockey, and my dad pushed us to play and to compete at a high level, and it was a great career. And right from I think 2 3 years old, I started playing. My dad had me on the ice all the time. I was always chasing my older brothers out there, so um, that kept me kind of interested in the game and loving the game, and it just built from there. I had a lot of success as a kid, um, at a young age, and growing up, and I got to play with some great players, got to have some amazing experiences even as a kid. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of great memories, and it was a great career.
I was going to say, and winning an OHL championship and a Memorial Cup in 2003 was pretty special as well.
It really was, especially now that my career's done. I think you look back on it even more now, and appreciate it even more. Um, some really great players that I still keep in touch with on the team. Even the coaches were still in touch. So it was a really special team. It was a really special year. To win a Memorial Cup is not an easy thing to do, and to do it your first year was even more cool. So, like I said, just one of those great experiences that you really cherish more and more as you get out of the game.
Okay. And that leads to my next question. I'm just trying to keep it going at a good pace for you. Where did you attend school? I know you're from Oakville, and I lived in Oakville before you were born because I'm an old guy, and I lived on near Munns Public School off of
Yeah,
Sixth Line. That's
yeah.
where I grew up in the 70s and early 80s. And did you have any mentors besides your parents when you were starting out young as a hockey player?
You know what? I think my biggest mentor was just my family. My brothers and my parents really pushed me to play, and like I said, pushed me to play at a high level. Um, Along the way, obviously, you have some amazing coaches as a kid. Even people like Paul Marin, who was down the street from us, one of my first coaches at a very young age. Um, Again, and then you go into people like from my dad coached me throughout my career in Oakville as a young kid, and then in Toronto, Rob Van Onlang, Steve Cook. So some really influential people that really tried to give me the best opportunity that they could when I was younger.
Okay. And this leads to my next question. What was it like being drafted by the OHL's Kitchener Rangers, coming from the Oakville Blades in 01, 02? And what was the adjustment like being in the OHL in your first year coming from Oakville?
Um, Being drafted by Kitchener was obviously an honor. A great organization like that. Thinking so highly of you in the first round is always a good feeling. I got some great experiences at playing with the Oakville Junior A Blades as a young age. I got to play against older players, which I think only benefited me to kind of make that step into the OHL. It's pretty tough going from minor midget these days right to the OHL. It's a pretty big step. And even back then it was. So having that kind of bridge the Oakville Blades to the Kitchener Rangers, I think kind of made it a little bit easier for me.
And I was going to say, and they started you out on what, the third or the fourth line in your first year?
With the Blades?
With the Rangers in your first year.
You know what? It was funny. I was on the third line, yeah, as a centerman, but then every once in a while I'd be mixed in on the first line as a winger with Derek Roy and Gregory Campbell, which was obviously really cool as a young kid. Great guys to kind of look up to and play with, that not only guys but players. Yeah, it kind of started that way and fluctuated throughout my career, I guess, ups and downs in Kitchener, but yeah, it's kind of the way it started there.
I was going to say, and the year before the Rangers won the Memorial Cup, they were upset by the Storm in the first round. But I was going to say Peter DeBoer and Steve Spott did a great job with that organization, building it into a winning franchise again.
Yeah, they're very smart hockey minds. I think they've been in the NHL now for I would say at least around 10 years now straight, give or take. So they obviously know the game. They did a great job with us. We always had winning teams. We always had a pro culture around Kitchener, which was fantastic. And from what I see, it's only grown. So yeah, I think they were pretty influential in kind of building or getting the Kitchener Rangers culture up to that top standard.
Well, and they came over. Steve and Peter came over from the Plymouth Whalers, and they were a solid franchise too in the late '90s and early 2000s as well.
Yeah, it was funny because Pete and Spotter came over, and then they made a trade actually with Gregory Campbell, and oh my goodness, they made a big trade there, and they obviously came over that year, so there was a lot of feuds, and we played them in the playoffs, and then there was a goal that was maybe supposed to go in but didn't go in, and it was there was a lot of rivalries that year when we played them, so it kind of made your first year a little more interesting.
Definitely.
And Ryan Ramsey's the trade. It was
Okay.
Gregory Campbell for Ryan Ramsey.
I still can't believe it's going on 18 years since that team won the Memorial Cup. It's like, wow, 18 years ago.
I know, you're telling me it's been some time, but flown by, really has.
I was going to say quickly, do you still keep in touch with some of your teammates from that team?
For sure I do. Guys like Adam Keefe, he's coaching over in Ireland right now, doing a fantastic job with an organization there. They have 8,000-9,000 fans come a night, and he's actually been the one that's built that organization up. So I keep in touch with him quite a bit. And then it's just kind of when you run into guys, right? The game it's a small world. So when you're at the rinks, you run into different people and run into even Pete and Spotter. We're still in touch every once in a while. So yeah, there's still guys you still touch base with, and when you do, it's always nice to do it.
I was going to say, and when the 20th anniversary comes up, hopefully you guys will all be able to get together at the Odd to celebrate that team.
Yeah, it would be cool to do something like that for sure.
Definitely. Next question I wanted to ask you, Evan, is do you remember your first OHL game with the Rangers and who your first line mates were?
My first OHL game, my first exhibition OHL game was funny because Kitchener always used to have kind of a meet and greet before the first exhibition game. And I remember myself being extremely nervous about it, obviously, because it's your first exhibition game and you got to meet all these new fans before it when as a young kid, you're not used to those. And the first thing they did was they put 3 of us in a dunk tank. So it kind of shook the nerves off pretty quick when you're getting in that cold water. But that was kind of my first memory of getting that. But no, I do remember a lot of special things about Kitchener, and your first game always is, and a couple other games against Ottawa in the finals was always a special game. There's so many to kind of name.
Okay. And my next that leads to my next question, Evan. What was it like playing for 4 years in Kitchener, and what were your thoughts on the Ranger fans and also the late great Don Cameron, who was the voice of the team for 50 years, which is just amazing.
Yeah, Mr. Cameron was a special person. Always around, always looking to have a conversation, tell a story. Just a lot of positivity always came out of him. So hearing of that was very upsetting. Obviously, him and I always had a really good time and great conversations. So you can't say enough about somebody like that and respect somebody like that. So I know he's very he's definitely not forgotten and very missed for sure.
And like I said, and overall, how the Ranger fans were with you and the players when you were there from '02 to '06?
It was fantastic. I was lucky to have a good billet, Greg Kuzameno. And which makes everything a lot easier when you're living in a different city. Greg kind of took me under his wing and kind of treated me like his son, which was it. People say they want to do that, but it's a lot easier to say it than to do it. So I was really lucky with Greg. Somebody I am in touch with weekly. The fans, obviously, probably I would say at the time, I can't comment now, but at the time, I would say they were definitely one of the top fans in the leagues. We were sold out almost every game. You would go around the city, people would be so respectful, so kind, supportive. Again, I couldn't even tell you, even in my business now that I'm doing, how many people I'm dealing with now that I kind of didn't know, but I dealt with back then as well. So it's special to kind of reconnect again, and really cool.
And I was going to say too, people forget these guys that are in the OHL, as yourself were. Some of them start out as 16-year-old kids, and it's their first time away from home, and that is got to be a big of an adjustment as well.
Oh, it's massive, right? And every kid's different. Some handle it very easily, some handle it a little bit more difficult and have different issues. So again, these teams kind of know. Well, they try to know the person so that they can kind of build it up the way that's best for the kids, right? So I was very lucky. Pete and Spotter were great that way. And the first time we met the Cusimano family, my parents knew it was going to be a good fit.
I was going to say, yeah, because that people don't realize how important billet families are to the players as well.
It's massive, and like I said, I'm even dealing with other families now that were billets. Just that I used to go over to their house and have dinner and sit at their table, and as a kid, and now we're kind of in a professional world, kind of dealing with each other. So it's special, and in Kitchener and Waterloo, the entire area there kind of offers that with the Rangers players for sure.
Okay. My next question I wanted to ask you, you've already sort of answered it, but during that old 203 season, Evan, did you guys have a feeling you guys knew this was a special team before the season started?
I don't think we knew we were that going to be that good. Um, we knew we had some pieces with Mike Richards, with Derek Roy. Steve Eminger did not start the season with us. So that was a question mark. We knew if Steve came back that uh, we would have something pretty cool. But then, like, we brought in guys like Clarkey came in out of nowhere, had a great junior career and pro career, and even guys like Nathan O'Navigon came in from Mississauga and played like leading roles, not just small roles. Scott Dickey, an overage goalie that everybody kind of counted out, that stood on his head for us. George Halkitis, that came out of nowhere as an OA strong defenseman for us. Again, like Raf Martinowski, so many different names that you could throw out there that, yeah, the team was pretty special. And again, a great group that we were lucky enough to play with.
I was going to say one of the guys I enjoyed on that team was the defenseman Andrew Benoit.
Benny's, yeah.
Yeah.
Benny was a really special D. He's actually married to a childhood friend of ours that I actually introduced him to. So it's a small world, but yeah, it's he was one of the most talented D, I think, in Kitchener Ranger history. Really skilled, did a lot of the good things.
Yeah, I remember him as an offensive defenseman and a great skater.
Exactly, and really smart.
Definitely. And to be honest, I was lucky enough to see the 82 team win the Memorial Cup, and I think this team, the 03 team, was just as good as that 82 team that won it. Oh, I don't know if I lost you, Evan.
No, you're there. You're there.
Okay, sorry, because yeah, sometimes things can happen. So, but I was gonna say, and it just shows you how hard it is, Evan, to win the Memorial Cup. Because I know Guelph's had 6 cracks at it, and they've had a couple great teams, but it's just so hard to win it in that tournament format.
That's exactly it, right? It's anybody's kind of game once you get there. So it's a tough one for sure.
Okay. The next question I wanted to ask you, Evan, is can you describe, I'm a Red Wings fan, by the way. Can you describe what it was like being drafted by the Red Wings organization in 2004, 128 overall? And I believe it was Ken Holland and Jim Neal that I think probably drafted you back then.
Yep. That's exactly who it was. Obviously a great honor. Great organization, really amazing time. Again, when I was going into the draft, I went to Carolina for it, kind of thinking I was going to be drafted a little bit higher. So after the first day went by, I was pretty disappointed that I wasn't drafted. So to be honest with you, I didn't go to the second day of the draft. And my agent called me in the morning that morning and said, "Hey, Detroit Red Wings have picked you. They're super excited to have you, really want to meet you. They would really like if you came down." So I rushed, I put my suit on, I rushed down and to the arena and kind of sprint down the stairs and kind of sit there and meet around the table Kenny Holland, Jim Nill, Joe McDonnell, who's around a lot in Kitchener and things like that. And yeah, it was a very special moment for sure.
Did you happen to have any dealings with Mike Babcock too when you got drafted?
Yeah, I was at training camp and probably played about 20 exhibition games under Mike.
Yeah, like I said, what people think of him is he still was a great coach, and he did win. He had so much success in the AHL and in the NHL as well.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, what I tell people is Mike ran one of the best practices that I've been part of. It was always really high pace. There was very little downtime. It wasn't extremely long, but the pace of it, the tempo, he ran it probably one of the best practices I had in my career, at least. So of course people can knock a guy, they can say bad things, but he had a pretty cool career and definitely had a lot of great for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's one thing people can speculate, but it's his former players and current former players that know about him. And like I said, you don't win 2 gold medals and a Stanley Cup by being a below average coach.
Well, that's exactly it, right? And obviously, I think the way coaches need to coach now is a little bit different than it was 10, 15 years ago. And the game and the world has changed a little bit.
Yep.
So it's not a knock against somebody like that by any means. He was a great coach, had a great career, and I'm sure will continue to have a great career.
Yeah, I believe he's coaching University of Saskatchewan Huskies right now, I believe.
I think so. And he's done a lot of great TV stuff, and to have a mind like him on TV is always good too.
Definitely. Okay, I just wanted to ask you about that. And I just got a couple more questions, Evans. Like I said,
No
I'm
problem.
I'm trying to audible. Like I said, I try to be flexible with what my guests can give me for time. So, the next question I wanted to ask you, buddy, is what was the biggest adjustment going from the OHL to the American Hockey League, and what was it like playing for the Grand Rapids Griffins, and then after with the Syracuse Crunch before you went overseas to play over there to finish your career?
Yeah, Grand Rapids was and is still one of probably the best AHL cities there are around. So I had a lot of great experiences there. I think the hardest thing was just maturing enough that you're living on your own. You're doing everything on your own. I was lucky enough to have my wife, my now wife, there with me. So that kind of made things a little bit easier at home. But again, it's just getting the maturity of I guess growing up very quickly. Going from the OHL where you still have billets, you still have people telling you where to go, when to be there, to pro where it's on your shoulders more. So that's that. I think that was probably just the most difficult part, but obviously the skill was fantastic in the HL. So just trying to grow into yourself as quickly as possible.
Now, I'm trying to think who the coach was back then. It wasn't Jeff Blashill, was it?
No, my first coach was Greg Ireland.
Okay. Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah, Greg Ireland.
Yeah, we went through a few. We had Craig Foster. We had Mike Stuthers. So we had a couple guys as coaches going through there.
Okay. And when you did go to Grand Rapids, did someone from the team help you find like an apartment, a place to stay?
I think it was more just the players. They kind of gave you the guys that were there the year before. You kind of just let off them and where they were living, and there was a couple different complexes in the area that you kind of could choose from. So it was more the players that helped you out with that.
Okay, that's good to know because I wasn't sure how that worked going from the OHL to the American Hockey League. So,
Well, there's always returning players and older players, and they can kind of gauge on what kind of stage, I guess, players are in their lives. If they're more of the single type, or if they're more of like the maybe bringing their girlfriend kind of more at home type. So it's they could kind of help with that, which usually is the case.
okay. Are you good for a few more minutes? I just have a couple more
Yep.
questions, Evan.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I was gonna say, was there a player or two on the Griffins team that kind of took you under the wing in your first year there?
Yeah, you know what? Daryl Bootlin was really good to me. Another guy that had a really interesting, cool career. He was always really kind to me, really good to me. Kind of the older brother that kind of kicked my ass when you needed it kind of idea. And wasn't afraid to kind of say it. So Daryl was really good to me. But yeah, he was probably on my first year one of the better guys that helped me out through the year. Yeah,
And I think his brother Nick Bootlin played for the Gold Storm.
I think so. Yeah, and I think if he's still coaching and GM in the East Coast League out in Kalamazoo for many years now.
And you were in the AHL for I think from what let's see, 2007 to 2011, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. And that leads to my next question. What was it like playing pro hockey over in Europe, and how much of an adjustment did it take you to get used to the speed and the skill over there and the bigger ice rinks?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest adjustment. Because especially in Sweden, it's a very quick game, and I jumped into Sweden not really knowing anything about European hockey. Because I always had the mind frame that I was going to be staying in North America and never thought anything else. So it was a massive adjustment. Probably after the first 5 games, I think my team threatened to send me home. But then kind of I figured it out and had a very successful year in Sweden and a good 5 years in Sweden. So I love the experience. Again, my family was with me, which was fantastic. We got to see some amazing places, play in some great places, meet amazing people. So definitely a really cool experience.
Okay, and that leads to my next question. How hard was it to announce your retirement from pro hockey after 13 seasons between the AHL and overseas in Europe?
Yeah, for me, I had another year contract over in England that I didn't use because of different opportunities, I guess you could say here. Um, I tried not really to make a big deal of it. Um, it's I don't know. It's definitely upsetting, and you're gonna miss it and miss a lot of special things about it. And um, for now, I just try to think of the good things and remember those things and try to bring the experiences that I did have to some of the other players now.
Okay, because like I said, for most athletes, uh, playing a sport is most of their life. So I always imagine it is a little hard at times to retire from a sport that you love growing up playing as a kid.
Yeah, it is, but you know what? I'm still part of the game a lot with a lot of young players, and it keeps me focused and busy on that side of it as well. So try to keep yourself as involved as you can.
Well, because what I remember most of from when you were playing in Kitchener days is you were definitely a consistent goal scorer and a consistent player. And I was always like, hey, you got to keep your eye on Evan McGrath. And sure enough, like I said, and you really took off in your second year, third year, and then your fourth year. I believe you had 117 points with Kitchener.
Yeah, I had some really great years. And one thing I always tried, and even when at a young age, my dad always kept a chart of every game that I played, and he'd give us stars for how well we played. And one thing was really stressed was consistency. So one thing I was trying always and proud of is trying to be as consistent as you could game after game, even if it's pitching in an assist here or a goal here. My role was more offensive, so I always tried to have that goal or that assist in the game to actually make a difference.
Okay, and I had to ask you this quick question. I only got like two more, and that's it. What was your besides the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium? What was your favorite other arena or arenas that you like playing in as a visitor with Kitchener?
I Guelph was always fun because it was always a massive rivalry. London, I didn't like playing in London because I always played awful there. I don't know why. I just always personally was very unsuccessful there. Um, but no, Kitchener was great. Ottawa was always a lot of fun because they always had an interesting crowd on Sundays. But yeah, I think it would probably be against Guelph just because of the rivalries that we had.
Yes, and I think this year they play Guelph 10 or 11 or I think 10 times this year.
Yeah, at the
Yeah,
beginning of the year, they've already played a bunch of times each other.
times. Yeah,
Just I think with COVID and protocols and things like
yeah.
that, but that's changing here now, which is cool to see other teams playing again against other teams.
Okay. And did you have any rituals you did before each game?
Um, they always changed. I guess it's you'd have a bad game and you'd change up your pregame meal, and then all of a sudden you'd have a good one. So you'd try that for 4 games in a row, or different things like that. Our Mem Cup year, me and Dave Clarkson, every year or every game we would switch off where we would get each other a coffee and a donut at Tim Hortons. That was something small that we just kind of did that year. But you kind of build different rituals with different guys as teams change and things like that as well.
Okay. And just like two questions left. And this one I wanted to ask you, what was the adjustment like going from a career in pro hockey to a career as an individual group wealth advisor? And can you just tell my audience just currently a little bit about your current role with the company?
Yeah, I've gotten into wealth management, and my last couple of years of playing, it was a career choice I knew I was going to make. So kind of did my licensing, all those types of things then. And yeah, I've just now I'm working with a lot of different companies, a lot of different business owners, different individual families, just in regards to life planning. It's I've seen a lot of different things. I've learned a lot of different things, and bring a lot of different perspectives to different eyes. So I've really enjoyed it. I've met so many great people in all of, I guess you could say, the Golden Horseshoe area here. And even again, back into Kitchener, I've been working with a lot of different company owners and old billets that I had met from before. So it's been a lot of fun kind of reconnecting and building those new cool relationships as well.
And I was gonna say, when I was younger, always was taught the value of a dollar and learn how to save money. And I started investing money when I was younger. And they really should start bringing back economics into the high school for kids too.
Yeah, you know what? It just makes sense, right? It's such a big part of life that a lot of people aren't, I guess you could say, just knowledgeable about. There's a lot of different great options out there. So it's a full plan, right? And like you said, it would be great to see a little bit of learning and a little bit of teaching at a younger age for sure.
Okay. And last question for you, Evan.
Okay.
Again, I want to say thank you so much for doing this. I really
No
appreciate
problem.
it.
No problem.
Like I
Thanks for
said,
having me.
definitely. Any advice for those looking to pursue a career in hockey, sports, and maybe possibly as a financial advisor? And where can my audience find you or contact you on social media or a website?
Yeah, well, like I said, thanks again for having me. It's always great to kind of tell your story and talk about different things with different people. So thanks again, Chris. And yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Evan McGrath Hockey for hockey on that side of it. And lots of different opportunities kind of coming. So I'm really excited about that and really excited about where things could go here in the future.
Okay. And like you said, again, I just want to say thank you again for coming on, Evan. And we'll definitely have to keep in touch with you on LinkedIn, and I'll have to look for you on Instagram as well.
Of course, that'd be great.
Okay. When I let you go, is it okay if I play a little clip of your highlights that I got off of YouTube for my audience?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Okay, because I do that with all my guests. And again, thank you so much, Evan, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you on LinkedIn and look for you on Instagram.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot for having me.
Nope, you're welcome. Have a great night, Evan.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my podcast tonight with Evan McGrath, former pro hockey player and 2003 OHL and Memorial Cup champion with the Kitchener Rangers. He's now a financial wealth advisor in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, and I really appreciate Evan coming on tonight. And I'm just going to show a little bit of clip of Evan's hockey highlight of his hockey highlights from the AHL and over in Europe. Just 1 second, guys.
Growing up in Cali, and you know I love the weather. Limelight hit 'em, and you know I handle pressure. I do what I want, so I'm never saying never. I get what I want, so they call me go-getter. Yeah, I know he does it good, but you know I do it better. So misunderstood, if she wanted, then I let her. Everybody knows if I want her, then I get her. She gave me that look, yeah, she knows she thinks I'm clever. I don't think I do it good, no, I think I do it great. They would do it if they could, they can't do it, so they hate. Everybody wanna look, but nobody wanna play. Stealing eyes like a crook while I put it on display. I don't do it by the book, no, I do my own thing. That's why every single hook got them singing like me. And I ain't in any rush, cause I'm finally getting paid. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Yeah, let's go. Catch me at the top, sipping shots of Patron. I will never stop till the road is my home. I'm about to pop, everybody's gonna know. When the beat drops, say the L&B ho. Girls in crop tops, drop tops at the shows. Mini skirts rock, got us all like whoa. All the pretty ladies lined up front row. Driving me crazy, I just wanna take them home. Got it on lock, yeah, you can call me pro. Parties on the blocks, make sure the girls know. Now it's getting hot up in here, oh no. Think Nelly had it right, better take off all your clothes. Future's looking bright, now I'm finally in the zone. 3 years of my life, I committed to the growth. Soldier boy, tell him #1 ringtone. I'm the reason people texting, cause they're blowing up your phone. I don't think I do it good, no, I think I do it great. They would do it if they could, they can't do it so they hate. Everybody wanna look, but nobody wanna play. Stealing eyes like a crook while I put it on display. I don't do it by the book, no, I do my own thing. That's why every single hook got them singing like me. And I ain't in any rush, cause I'm finally getting paid. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah.
Anyways, that's just some career highlights from Evan McGrath's career in the AHL and over in Europe again. And like I said, I really appreciate Evan McGrath, a Memorial Cup champion, coming on live with CDP podcast again. So I really appreciate it. I just want to say thank you to everybody watching this podcast live on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for everyone watching on Facebook Live on my page and also on Twitter at Chris D. Pame. And just to let you guys know, Live with CDP podcast, the audio version is downloaded onto Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, and on my LinkedIn page as well, if you want to listen to it on audio form. And also, guys, you can follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I'm on there quite often doing my promos for my podcast as well. And also, guys, Live with CDP merchandise. Podcast shirts are $15, coffee mugs $15, and my new podcast hats, if you're interested, are $18. Shipping extra if you're out of Guelph and out of country as well. Anyways, guys, I got some more sports news. Like I said, the next live CDP podcast to be announced. There will be one next week. I just have to confirm with my guest and a schedule. So TB to be announced, TBA for next week's Live with CDP podcast. And also, guys, some sports. We got Thursday night football tonight. We got Mike White and the New York Jets taking on Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts at 8:20 kickoff. I am picking the Jets to upset the Colts 31-28. Mike White had such a great game against the Bengals. I'm just going to pick the Jets to win again, 31-28 over the Colts and upset. So we'll see what happens. And the big hockey news today, guys, as you know, Jack Eichel has finally been traded by the Buffalo Sabres to the Vegas Golden Knights, and third-round pick, Eichel and a third-round pick to Vegas for Peyton Krebs, Alex Tuck, and a first-round pick and a future second-round pick. So Buffalo gets 2 young players to add to their lineup and 2 high draft picks, and Vegas will get a potential superstar if he can recover from his neck surgery in Jack Eichel, and also a third-round pick in 2022 or 2023. So, yeah, that was the big news of today. And just, yeah, Vegas first-round pick is not a top 10 selection. The Sabres will get a 2022 first rounder and a 2023 second rounder, with Vegas getting a 2023 third rounder. So there are some conditions on this as well. But overall, I think it's a good trade for the Sabres and Vegas. Buffalo gets the drama nonsense out of the way, and Eichel did not want to be in Buffalo anymore. And if he can recover from the neck surgery, he'll be a great addition to the Vegas Golden Knights, and Buffalo will get 2 young players and a couple of high draft picks as well. So that leads to my poll question, guys. Who won the Sabres Golden Knights trade today, Buffalo or Vegas? Or is it too early to tell? Please post your comments on my comment page on my podcast, as I'm curious to see what the responses are again. So again, who won the Sabres Golden Knights trade? Please just send me a comment and let me know who you thought won that trade. I actually think both teams won this trade. So, but the time will tell. It'll probably take a couple years to see how Eichel recovers from all this neck surgery and how these young guys do for the Sabres as well. So, And also, guys, let you know the Guelph Storm coming off a 4-0 win in Kitchener on Tuesday night are in Sault Ste. Marie this weekend, Friday and Saturday night, to take on the Greyhounds. And both games will be on CJOY 1460 AM with Larry Malott doing the call of the game. And we'll see if Owen Bennett can continue his hot streak behind the net in the net for the Guelph Storm as well. And let's see some other sports news, guys. The Detroit Red Wings will have Tyler Bertuzzi back in the lineup tonight, but minus Dylan Larkin. They're taking on the Boston Bruins tonight at 7 o'clock, face off at TD Garden. And Boston, the Red Wings have lost their last couple of games, actually 3 in a row, to Florida, Toronto, and Montreal. So the Wings really need to make a big effort tonight, and hopefully I can get 2 points in Boston or at least a point. So we'll see what happens there. And also, guys, just to let you know, the Detroit Pistons are back home at Little Caesars Arena tonight, taking on Joe Embiid and the red-hot Philadelphia 76ers. The Pistons are off to a 1-6 start, and Cade Cunningham has played a couple games, but he's off to a slow start since he's coming off of ankle surgery. So hopefully Cade can get a little more comfortable tonight and produce a little more offensively, and just keep getting better every game. And it would be nice to see the Pistons get a win tonight because, like I said, 1-6, you don't want to keep losing. With a young team like the Pistons, it's important for them to start being competitive and to start trying to win some games to build their confidence up. So we'll just cross our fingers the Pistons can get a W tonight against a very good Philadelphia team as well. Anyways, guys, like I said, I would just want to say again, thank you to Evan McGrath for coming on live with CDP Podcast. Everybody who watches this on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, thank you. And also, like I said, anyone who listens to this on audio, thank you so much as well. And yeah, again, like I said, Thursday night football tonight, Jets and Colts at 8:20 p.m. And as you know, the Atlanta Braves won their second World Series in 26 years, beating the Astros the other night too. So congratulations to the world champion Atlanta Braves. And that'll be it for baseball for the next 4 months as well. And also, guys, just to let you know, the next Live with CDP podcast to be announced. I will probably do that on the weekend. I do have more podcasts coming up next week and some more guests. It's just a matter of connecting with my guests and their schedule and stuff like that as well. So anyways, guys, I think I'm going to call that a show, but I just want to say thank you again to everybody for watching Live with CDP podcast. And I hope everyone enjoys the Colts Jets game tonight. And looking forward to some NFL football this weekend as well. And I know the Eagles take on the LA Chargers at 4:05 at the link. Chargers are now 4-2 after their loss to the Patriots, and the Eagles are now 3-5 after their 44-6 beating of the Detroit Lions. So go Birds, fly Eagles, fly, and hopefully we can get another W this weekend at the link against the Los Angeles Chargers as well. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a podcast. But again, thank you again to Evan McGrath for coming on. And thank you, everybody, for watching this live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and later on my audio platforms. I hope everyone has a great night, great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week for another live edition with Live with CDP edition. Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you so much for watching.